The importance of the element hair in health, how this element influences the planet Earth, human beings, and the entire species. We will talk about the change of Saturn and Jupiter to the hair element and how we can benefit from this cycle in our health. So I'm going to read to you and also this article, a short hot article from Paracelsus. He say, just as there are stars in the sky, there are also stars within men. Therefore, nothing exists in the universe that does not have its equivalent in the microcosm. The spirit of man derives from the constellation, is soul from the planets, and is body from the elements. So that's what we're going to speak. In this vast world of health, of knowledge, as astrology is, the speciality of special of medical astrology, like we have so many in astrology, can help us understand many pathological process both in individuals and in society, assisting in how we can use means to combat certain symptoms. For example, with complementary medicine associated with traditional medicine, we can release symptoms and understand the development trends at certain times. Through the cycles of social planets in the elements and in a specific sign. Let's see. In medical astrology are indicate us a link. We are all know the signs Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius related to the third, 7, and 11 house, to this hair triangle connected with birth and hair. The birth and also with which connects us to the lung, the nadis, the left and right brain hemisphere, and the gas exchange. The way we take the learning about knowledge we received during and from our childhood to our brain and how we project them into the relationship with the others, acquiring a sense of belonging to the group, to the support of friends, of course, and what we need more at this moment, like hope. All this triangle bond connects to our own neurotransmitter, receive the information and pass it on to the synapse and in a chemical production or of serotonin and dopamine to the rest of the body. Our health will depend on this whole process, on our strengthening of the human system and how we feed our endocrine glands, especially the thyroid glands, the adrenals, as well as we give our needs the necessary flexibility so that we can adapt the invisible force on which our lives depend, of course, the hair. But let's see how we can use planetary cycles in order can make the best use of the air we breathe, and how we can relate to previous cycles. Of course, for this, we have to understand the planets that are in air signs. And as we all know, Jupiter and Saturn entered an air sign after 20 years. So how can we make use of it? What happened 20 years ago? What sign were therein? And when was the last time these two social planets, which are the last of traditional astrology connected in Aquarius. What lessons can we learn to improve our bodies? And on our birth chart, how does this relationship with medical astrology work? Here in medical astrology and the cycles of Saturn and Jupiter, let's observe the cycles of these two. So I do a little research and I found Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius in January 12th, in 1903, when Saturn ingressed in Aquarius. Jupiter was far away from Saturn, but it was in Aquarius also. We have the cases of bubonic pandemic increase. Another one, Saturn and Jupiter and Gemini in May 9th to 1942, Saturn ingressed Gemini. Also, Jupiter was far away from Saturn, but also in Gemini. We watch the cycle of malaria pandemic begins. Then we saw Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius in January 3rd in 1962, Saturn in Aquarius, and not so far away, but also not in a conjunction. Jupiter was in Aquarius, and we have the 7th cycle of cholera pandemic begins also. Saturn and Jupiter in Gemini, April 20th in 2001, the last one in her element. We have also Saturn ingressed Gemini. Jupiter was not so far away, but in Gemini also, but not in conjunction. We have the Nipah and cholera virus, then in Nile fever. So this is for your research because I don't have time to explain all of that chart. But in the example we saw, this planet did not make any applying conjunction in the same degree as currently. We can go back in time and find these two planets together, but without them being in exact conjunction on Mars 25, 1108.